So, Destiny 2 is ending. Not shutting down completely, but Bungie has officially stopped supporting it. And if you know anything about live service games, then you know exactly what that means. But here's what actually bothered me. Destiny isn't supposed to be the kind of game that just fails. Destiny is the blueprint, the godfather. It is the live service game. The game that the entire industry looked at and went,
He is the one.
that's what we're talking about here. So, if even Destiny can go from struggling to finally succumbing, then why do gaming companies think that they can still get this live service thing right? Because personally, I think that Destiny simply reveals the one thing that these live service obsessed companies simply still do not understand. You see, the problem isn't content. The critical factor is far more simplistic, and that's trust. Now, let me be honest with you, analysts. I'm not some veterinary Guardians player. I'm not gonna sit here pretending as if I was, kicking it with the guys at 3 a.m., doing raids and all that stuff. Nah, that's not me. But taking a look at the Destiny situation from the outside looking in, it's kind of easier to see the pattern that's actually forming around this Destiny bubble. Because from the outside, Destiny simply looked untouchable. Huge community, massive legacy, Sony money in it, years of momentum. This game had everything going for it. So then how does something this big just start slowing down? And I know what somebody's gonna say. Somebody's gonna say, it was probably greed. And yeah, sure, maybe. However, when I actually started looking into this whole Destiny thing, simply investigating, doing some detective work, I actually found something quite interesting among the complaints that Destiny actually had. It wasn't just one disaster ultimately. Ultimately, it was death by 1,000 paper cuts. Just one cut here, one cut there, until eventually players stopped being angry and simply became exhausted. And if you think about it, the last thing that a live service game needs is players to move from anger to exhaustion, because angry players still care. That's why they're angry. They're telling you that we still care enough to even be angry about this thing. But once they actually simply get tired, then it becomes very dangerous for the company, because tired players simply walk away. They don't have the energy or the emotion to continue expressing why they don't like being treated the way you're treating them. So they simply silently eject. And this is actually where things start clicking for me. Because I think most gaming companies simply fail to understand one fundamental thing regarding live service games. You see, they actually think that the way to go about keeping players satisfied when it comes to live service is through content. So you provide more content, players will stay. But that's not really the case. You see, trust is what keeps players coming back. Like, take Destiny, for example. The entire sunsetting thing simply told players that the thing that you grinded forever for simply didn't matter. For those of you who are not familiar, sunsetting is when you put massive amounts into upgrading your weapon to maybe legendary status, only for Bungie to basically tell you that, well, there's an expiration date on that weapon you're using. So once that expiration date hits, your weapon will be basically rendered useless, which means the hours that you spend grinding, getting all those parts for those weapons won't exactly matter anymore. So when you actually do that to players, how do you think they actually feel about that? Why would I want to put more hours into something that ultimately won't matter? And then with vaulting or shutting off certain areas or portions of the map or the game, what does that tell players? It tells them that parts of this world that you actually paid for isn't permanent. It can simply disappear. So I think logically you can follow that this is something that would definitely upset players. And then of course, throw in your classic monetization piling up there. And of course, you will soon get fatigue piling up as well. Now, you take a look at these things from an individual perspective or point of view, it's not that serious. These things alone can't kill a giant like Destiny. But if you're to put all of those problems together, then they simply cannot be ignored anymore. And the thing about these companies that they simply haven't actually realized or they fail to understand is that live services themselves survive on one promise, one emotional promise. If I invest my time here, will it still matter tomorrow? If players start believing that investing their time into this game doesn't really matter, then why would they stay? That's why you find that bad updates are no longer just bad, they become far worse. Monetization now feels greedier. Every mistake simply hits harder because the dynamic of the relationship has changed. And personally, I think that that misunderstanding right there is why these companies will always fail when making live service games. Because people ultimately don't stay just because of content alone. They stay because they trust this world. It matters to them. You made the world matter to the players. That's why they stay. And Destiny, mind you, isn't the only live service game that has recently had to face the noose. Your Concord, your Marvel's Avengers, Suicide Squad, Anthem, all of those games are now 6 feet under, and Destiny is about to join them. And I think a far tempting question to ask when these things happen is, so is live service dying? Like, are companies finally about to understand the era of their ways? Even a giant like Destiny can fail. Maybe then these guys will finally understand that let us simply put these foolish ambitions to rest. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case, because we happen to live in a world whereby Genshin still exists, Fortnite still exists, Warframe still exists. So as long as these products exist, they still tell the promise of, if you work hard enough, you too can make it. In a way, it kind of feels as if this whole live service games thing, it's like the OnlyFans for the gaming industry, because everyone wants to blow up, everyone wants to have easy money. In a way, it's kind of wild to say, but yeah. But I think the better question is, what kind of a live service game actually survives? Because it kind of gets me thinking about Marathon. Because right now, Marathon is in a pretty interesting position. Disney is winding down, right? Layoffs have been planned. There are no projects that have been greenlit for Bungie. And Marathon is the one that's basically carrying all the pressure right now. Some people would say that shutting down Destiny and putting all your bets on Marathon, a niche extraction shooter, is kinda, I think the word is courageous. A very courageous choice. That's what the politicians say. They say, if you're about to make a decision that is about to end your entire career, they call it courageous. So yeah, I think it's a very courageous choice for Bungie to make. But then at the same time, I do understand that Sony still wants to get their money's worth. You know, the sunk cost fallacy may be at work here. And Sony's like, I already put $250 million on the line, dude. I should at least get something for that. But the question that Sony may be intentionally ignoring is, what if players are simply tired of forever games? What if audiences are starting to actually value trust more than just endless content dumps? Because if the major blueprint, which is Destiny, has struggled and has ultimately failed, then what exactly survives this model? And like I already said, I'm not here basically saying that live service games are dead. It's rather something like Destiny in and of itself has basically revealed something that is uncomfortable, that the gaming industry needs to accept. That more seasons, more content, more engagement, more systems won't get players to stay. And that goes for Marathon. Because now that Destiny has basically been shut down, or almost every entire human resource is being poured over to Marathon, and they have all of these things planned. You know, it's gonna get players back. You know, we have more seasons, more content, more systems, crazy levels of engagement. It's gonna be rad, man. Like, even though the numbers are like terrible right now for Marathon, but now that everyone's here on board and we're like, well, we're pushing this thing, we're going all the way in, we're gonna see a surge of players come back for Marathon. You know, they're betting it all on content and engagement and systems. I don't think they're putting much thought into ensuring that the product that they're actually going to be delivering, is it one that players are going to be able to trust? Will players trust that their time matters here? Will they trust that their progress matters here? Or simply trust that, does this product actually respect me? So the question still stands. It's not, how do we make live service games simply last forever, but what makes players want to stay in this world in the first place?